Hey everyone, I really like Monster Hunter Wilds and I've been playing it for a while now. It's been going really well. I'm basically done with most of the major content and I have leveled up to above HR 100 and I'm kind of done overall with the game till Mizusune comes out in early April. The thing is, Monster Hunter Wilds is facing a whole range of criticisms and one of those include the difficulty of the game, which is my main focus of today's video. Because today, I'll be discussing the difficulty and where the community fails to understand the difficulty and why I'm not worried. Let's begin. Difficulty is a very touchy subject in gaming because difficulty is dependent on playstyle and experience. Developers have to go around and design against said difficult experience, and a lot of discussions based on difficulty in the series comes up from a personal point of view rather from an overall point of view. Let me give you an example. In World, for example, the game that a lot of people started with, the very difficult fights in base World were Kushala, Lunastra and Behemoth. But if you look at those fights, a lot of them have gimmicks or mechanics that you have to go around beating so you can actually fight the monster. In the case of Kushala had an entire mechanic that prevented it from hitting him, which was the wind pressure. And he also flew a lot, meaning that he stayed out of reach of melee attacks, and if you try to shoot him with a bow, the wind pressure deflects the arrows and the bullets back to you. Behemoth had his health scaled for multiplayer only. While also having high health, he also had a moveset that could wipe out an entire squad in one attack, causing the quest to instantly fail, while also having attacks like Charybdis completely blocking your way. So he summons a tornado and it could block you out of the area, or it could just prevent you from hitting him because he's also camping in the tornado. The thing is that those fights ended up being terrible fights. We ended up trading actual fun fights for difficulty, and it's because the difficulty ended up being that the monster was a huge time waster rather than actually being difficult. There's also the case of Alatreon, a difficult monster that caused controversy, and yet the difficulty didn't come from his moveset. Most people were not complaining about his moveset. Instead, people were complaining that they couldn't beat his squad wipe DPS check. Yes, World Hunters were so OP that Capcom needed to add a DPS check, give poor information on how to beat said DPS checks, put the weapons that could beat the DPS check behind an RNG grind, while putting the monster that required excessive grinding at MR24 after you've killed Chara Valda. Now that most of the hunters have prepared for Alatreon with elemental weapons and know the best elemental hit zones on his fights, the entire fight of Alatreon becomes extremely easy because the difficulty of Alatreon's fight wasn't placed on his moveset, but instead was placed on his gimmick. Players also think experience didn't play a huge factor in why quests were so much easier in the newer games than before. For example, in World, people obviously state that monsters in World were harder due to wall spikes. They had wall spikes like Anjanath, Diablos, Lunastra, Alatreon, Behemoth, Barioth. Some people say Pink Rathian as well. But from my perspective, Anjanath was a punching bag. Diablos is literally easier than every other generation he's been at. Pink Rathian is a flash bomb victim. Barioth, you break his claws and he's also a victim. Alatreon and Lunastra are hard, yes, but they also have gimmicks to their fights. Lunastra has blue flames that can extend her hitbox, and also has wind pressure along with health draining attacks with heat. So, of course, that's one gimmick that the player has to bypass to beat Lunastra. Alatreon already discussed about his whole stick. I've been playing Monster Hunter since Freedom Unite, so of course Monster Hunter World wouldn't seem hard to me till the end game. Most players started with World, and so that perception would give them the idea that the games are way easier than those challenges that they faced. Meanwhile, the reality is that when they started, they were bad. They were bad at Monster Hunter, and they've gotten better. It's part of it too. It's not a lie to say, hey, the games are getting easier. True, but a major factor of why the games are getting easier is that you've gotten better. That's the truth. I mean, World has a hard end game in terms of Behemoth, Lunastra, Leshen, some of the Arch-Tempered. True. But we also got that in Rise. We got the Apex Emergencies, we got Event Valstrax, and then we got event quests like Heart of Might with the 3 Elder Dragons doing a shitload of damage to us as well. And Rise also did have walls for newer players. If I recall correctly, there was someone who rage quit at Kezu. And if I also recall correctly, Almudron was giving a bunch of people headache because his moveset was kind of too unpredictable for them. Wilds will also get these endgame difficult quests, probably in their later title updates. And currently, Tempered Gold seems to be filtering a lot of players, so there's that. What I do think is affecting difficulty in a negative way is the relative ease of access to healing. I think with the mobility we have now in these games, the healing should be harder to do, and the gathering nodes should have lesser healing items in general, as well as the combination of said healing items should be harder to do. Camp restocking as well on those healing items should also be reduced, because this is not just a Wild problem, this is a 5th gen problem. Ever since World, every punishment can be mitigated by a Vigor Wasp or your Palico, or some plant with healing, or some animal as well in the area that can just heal you. And I think that just makes healing less of an important decision while fighting. I do think once we reduce the ease of access to healing, it can drastically change the way the difficulty is perceived, because healing is no longer an important decision. This infinite access to healing, which has changed the way Capcom designed some of the monsters, leading to arena covering attacks and squad wipes, as you can see with Behemoth and Alatrion, along with moves that require out healing damage like Lunastra and Alatrion. In conclusion, I think the whole difficulty discourse and comparison is overblown because players are focusing on the wrong things that cause the games to be easier, when the actual problem isn't the hunter mobility, but instead the actual problem is the ease of access to healing. If we do an cross comparison within 5th gen to 6th gen, one can find the difficulty to be similar. Hunter tools have improved in every game since World. There are multiple environmental traps in World, there are endemic life that can assist you in World, and then there are also slingers which can also assist you in World as well, and mantles being the more broken thing. In Rise, we have the Wyvern riding mechanic and the Wirebox, and as well as the hunting helpers which are endemic life. And now in Wilds, we have focus mode, endemic life, and the wounding mechanic, all which have empowered the hunters. 5th and 6th gen difficulty, in my opinion, is relatively the same across the board, and the actual reality is that one game just had more noobs than the others at launch. That is all. I don't think that for me I will ever get to experience another wall in Monster Hunter after Freedom Unite, because I've just played this series for so long and I kind of just know a lot how the game works at this point. So I don't think I'll really be expecting to be walled by any monster. I didn't have a wall spike in Monster Hunter World till Alatrion. Not because basically I'm peak player, it's just that, well, I'm used to the gameplay mechanics by now. I didn't get walled in Monster Hunter for Ultimate. Well, again, I've played Freedom Unite, so I know the harder games. I didn't get walled in 3 Ultimate, because I fought harder monsters in Freedom Unite. So I didn't get World in Rise. I didn't get World in Wilds as well. So it's just how it is. And I don't think the expectation that you're going to struggle the way you did in your first Monster Hunter game is going to happen again. It's not. It's not going to happen again. You need to get that out of your head. You are not going to get World the same way you got World in your first Monster Hunter game. Alright? You're not going to hit that spike anymore. You have beaten that level. Everybody now understands how preparation works in Monster Hunter. So you can't just get bullied out of the game or quit the game or rage quit anymore, because you understand how the mechanics of the games work. And by the way, I know Capcom is going to deliver a very, very hard quest for us by the time the title updates roll out. By the time we get those hard event quests that will destroy us, everybody may just change their opinions on the game. So just be patient like me and then wait for Capcom to roll out title updates. I just don't want Capcom to, drop another behemoth just because we've been complaining about difficulty. I don't want them to do another behemoth. Oh god, please Capcom, don't do another behemoth, I beg you. Tokuda, don't touch another behemoth again. You already have those stupid one arena squad wiping attacks in Jin Dahad and Zoshia. So please, no more. Please. I don't want behemoth difficulty. Just